I know there are some praises here among us. Personal mission to never allow you to praise Jesus for me. So I showed up here today to praise Jesus for myself. To say thank you, Jesus. I know it was Jesus. Every door that was open, every way that was made, every mind that was fixed, every time he opened my heart, I know it was Jesus. Second chapter, verse number 1 through 3.
Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah.
Song says, nobody but Jesus.
Nobody.
They'll know it was Jesus, but nobody but Jesus. It had to be Jesus. It must have been Jesus. Nobody but Jesus. Oh, I'm sure about it. Nobody but Jesus. Nobody but Jesus.
Nobody.
In my current situation, that's where I'm placing my expectation. In nobody but Jesus. The Bible reads in 1 Peter chapter 2, and I'm praying that we open our hearts and minds over today, that Jesus truly gives us exactly what we have need of. That he continues to do the same thing today that he's been doing yesterday, looking past all our faults and supplying all our needs. All I'm saying is that we're agreeing today, Jesus, we know we don't deserve it. Oh, but Jesus, you know we need it. And the Bible reads, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, plural, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. Verse 3, if so be ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious. Thank you, Jesus. If you would turn to someone and just tell them a desire for Jesus. A desire for Jesus. When Peter writes this down and he tells this story, or he speaks to these people that are supposed to be the people of God, and here's what he tells them. He said that you got to get past some of your other stuff to get to where your real desire for Jesus is. So he starts with laying some stuff down. He starts with getting out of yourself, because you'll never get to your real desire for Jesus until you get out of yourself. Jesus said, if any man will come after me, if he is your desire, the first thing you need to do, the first thing that qualifies you, the first thing that makes him available for you, is you have to deny yourself. So all Peter's talking about, denying yourself, all this stuff he's saying is not it's not exclusive. What I mean to say is that you're not one of those things. You all those things. The evil speaking, the hypocrisy. You thinking maybe you one of those things. I did this one. No, I want you to understand you're all those things. That is inclusive of what is in the flesh. That is just flesh. And he's saying, in order to get to Jesus like you really want to get to him, not none of this fake stuff, not none of this play stuff, but the real Jesus. He said when you want to get down to your real desire, you got to get some of this other mess out the way. And so a little leaven leavens the whole loaf. What's been happening to us is that all the other stuff has been keeping you from your real desire. Do you know what's better than a new car? Some more Jesus. You know what's better than a new job? Some more Jesus. You know what's better than having a friend you can talk to? A friend that's sticking closer than a brother? Some more Jesus. He said that we have lost track of who we are and what our desire is. And here's the thing about desire: you cannot teach it. That he only can remind. He said that it should become your sincere, your chief, your number one desire. He says, as a newborn babe desires milk. That's how you are to desire the sincere milk of the word. That's how you are to desire more Jesus. Because the truth is, the answer to every situation, every infirmity, every affliction, nobody wants to hear it. The answer is more Jesus. Amen. You want to know what the problem is? Why there's no peace in your house? More Jesus. You want to know what's going on in that job? Why it's so degrading? Why it's so frustrating? More Jesus. You want to know why it is you have so many enemies and not many friends? You need more Jesus. And so because we have this definite need, but we do have a definite block.
Amen.
That Paul put it maybe even more eloquently, because Paul speaks out of personal experience and said, when I would do good, Evil is always present. I know I need Jesus, but sometimes that desire doesn't supersede my other desires, because that's really what we're talking about. He's saying that because I realize that now my flesh is not just, I don't just go to church. Amen. He said, I just don't pray. I got some other stuff in me. Y'all getting quiet right there.
Come on now. Amen.
He said, therefore I realize my flesh now is a servant to the law of sin. It works in this other way. This hypocrisy, this backbiting, this evil speaking, that's what it does naturally. He said, that's just me on a Monday.
Amen. Come on now.
He's saying there's nothing special about it. I don't have to sit down, conjure nothing up. I ain't got to come up with no playbook. All I have to do is be something other than in Jesus, and that's where I'm at. Amen. You think you got to figure out how not to like people? All you got to do is not love people. And not liking them comes naturally.
Amen.
You make enemies way quicker than you can make friends because it's more natural.
All right.
Because it's easy to have these things, this evil speaking, this hatred, this hypocrisy, this malice. He said we got to put away all forms of that. And what he's really saying, we got to put away the flesh, because if Jesus is your real desire, you got to really go after him. Amen. If he really is your desire, you got to really want him. The problem is that we're in 2017, approaching quickly into 2018, and people are still playing games. When you really want some real Jesus, you want him to get inside your real stuff.
Come on now. Come on.
See, I don't want Jesus that is here in the church. I need Jesus that can come lay hands in my house. I need Jesus that can come and rest where I rest. I need the real Jesus.
I need the real
I don't want to have joy that's only good for the 2 hours while we're in this building together. I need some real Jesus joy that can come when ain't nobody calling me. That can pick me up when I ain't getting no text message. That can touch me when can't nobody else reach me. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? He said this has to be a desire to anybody who has now tried Jesus. Here's what we have with him, experience with him, experience bringing forth hope, hope making not ashamed. I'm saying it fast, but here's what it's saying. It's saying that we have created, we have in us now a desire for Jesus. Jesus said that no man having had the old wine straight away won't try the new wine, because he'll keep saying the old wine is better. What I'm saying is there's no desire till there is a desire. But when you have a desire, you have to get back to the desire. So Peter is not trying to get them to get a desire. He's trying to remind them of what their desire should be.
Amen. Amen.
So this is not a call to say, oh yeah, I'm about to build a fire in you. Ain't nobody building a fire in you. You do what you want to do.
That's right. That's right.
Let me prove it to you. You make it hard. We'll do it. But all this Jesus you got, all this anointing you got, if you don't want to pray, ain't nobody going to force you. Ain't nobody going to push you. Ain't nobody going to make you. If you want to pray, you don't care how many prayer lines are available. You don't care how many people are looking for prayer partners. You're not doing what you don't want to do. Are you still with me now? Yes. Even if it's beneficial, even if it's, oh, let me pray with you. If you don't feel like praying, you're not praying. That's right. Now, you got prayer in you. Jesus dwells in you, and still you can resist the things that are spiritual, whatever it is that suits you. That you know, when you get so mad, sometimes you want to cuss. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Come on now. Tell the story.
Now what I'm telling you is that when you're at that moment, just imagine with me, don't say nothing right now. But imagine with me, you're now right at that moment. Anger has now got to a zenith. It is at an apex. It's reached the top of your limit, and now there's words bubbling up on the inside of you. Now you're going to say something, but the question is, what are you going to say? The Bible said that every situation, every circumstance, everything that we're living, I'm talking about every day eating, drinking, living stuff. Every day we're in some stuff, and we have to then have a response. What shall we say to these things? That you got to understand every day, every bill in the mail, every phone call, every day you got to go to work, every relationship, every hand you shake, every person you smile at, everything has to have a response. And you are not judged on whether you be a child of God based on what happens to you, but you're judged based on your response. That he causes rain to fall on the just and the unjust the same. That means he does not change the happening. He changes the response. Oh, I pray you're hearing me right here. That what happens is that rain can't move me like it used to move me. That even in the storm, I got me a shelter. Jesus tells him and forewarns him about his crucifixion, and as he's on his way, they're about to begin his journey into what it is, his passion. He tells him at the supper, with desire, I desire to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. He said, this is my desire, and in order to get my desire, I got to get past Yosemite. Let me explain it to you a little better. In order to get to desire, you got to get past first weakness. First, the weakness of the flesh. First, deny the flesh. The same Jesus, Yosemite, the Bible said that he said, Father, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me. But not as I will, but as thou will, let it be done. Now let me tell you where this brings you. Then now he's in a place of confidence. Jesus is now telling them, he said, look, after a while, y'all all going to leave me. I'm already all right with it. He said, y'all going to be scattered to your own. I'm already okay with it. He said, ain't nobody going to come and wipe the sweat off my brow. Ain't nobody going to come. Ain't going to be no more anointing with oil. He said, but I'm already all right with it. I want you to know I am not by myself. He said, it's going to look like I'm alone, but I'm not alone.
I'm not alone.
He's already now in this other side. On the other side of this desire. That we live either in the one of the two places where you are here then trying to fulfill this desire that you might have more Jesus, or you on the other side where you still reaping corruption. I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And so Peter tells him, he says, wherefore we are laying aside all malice. He said, we getting real. This playtime is over. This is going on long enough. He said, I need me some more Jesus. He said, I got a desire. And it becomes, he uses the baby metaphor because listen to this. He said, not only is it a desire of a baby, but listen to this. A newborn baby, that's their only desire. They don't want milk and juice. They don't want milk and soda. Just milk. All the time. So I know that this is now a transition from carnal to spiritual. Still with me? Because now he says when you move from carnal to spiritual, all of a sudden you only got one desire.
All right.
He said just like a newborn babe desires the sincere milk of the word. Why? Because you understand just how much you need. So now we get to a place where it is not about what it is that you have. You now associated with your need. That you understand what it is you need. There was a woman that Jesus set over the usury and seen how they gave. The Bible said that everyone gave out of their abundance, but Jesus said this one woman gave out of her necessity, and she had given more than them. She was associated, acquainted with what she needed. See, sometimes because everything is out of our abundance, we miss the blessing of what it means to know how much we need Jesus. And so she understood I needed Jesus more than I need these 2 mites. And so out of her necessity, I'll say it to you better, you'll say I'd rather have Jesus, is what she said, than silver and gold. But then now what she has thought in her heart becomes life in her actions. And Jesus said this woman has given more than all of you. The Bible said he marveled, stopped him, said no, y'all think y'all giving, but y'all don't really know how to give. Because you don't really know how much you need Jesus. Sometimes you're just going through the motion. You don't really remember how much you need him until you get sick. Until you get in trouble, until you're going through a hardship, until you're in a dark place, until you're in a midnight season, in a desert season, until you're going through something. Then all of a sudden you remember, Jesus, I need you.
I need you, Jesus.
That Peter is saying to you and I, we should activate this desire, not just when we are in trouble. Now, when you're in trouble, remember we was talking about how sometimes you don't want to pray and can't nobody make you pray? When you're in trouble, don't nobody have to ask you to pray. You start asking people. Isn't that amazing how that works?
Amen.
I mean, nobody got to call you for a prayer and nothing come to church. You at somebody's door. If you would, take a minute and pray with me. I mean, they don't have to worry about you thinking about prayer. You'll think about prayer all the time.
All the time.
When it came to your infirmity, you prayed and prayed and fasted and prayed. Geez, I didn't even know you had it in you. Fast and prayed and prayed and fasted and shouted and danced and prayed and rejoiced. All through the whole endeavor. And then healing came. I want Jesus to do it. Something happened. A change came over you. And all all of a sudden you didn't shout like you used to shout.
All right,
Dancing slowed all the way down. Prayer became infrequent. And it changed because as soon as your condition changed, listen to this, your desire changed. He's not saying that what you think is that somehow you have to find desire. He's saying the desire is already in you. He's saying what you got to do is get out of flesh.
That's right. Amen.
To get to that desire.
Yes.
This is in this time that we're in, a fleshly time, a cardinal time, a time where people are for self, about self, and if it doesn't have anything to do with me, then I don't want anything to do with you. That's where we live in. These are the times that we live in. If it's not going to add to me, then I'm not going to allow it to take away from me either. But we serve a God that says to live is Christ, to die is Christ, and to die is gain. What I'm saying to you is this, that what Jesus has been so good to you, that it changes the whole basis, the whole setup, if you will. Everything that we know, the Bible said we know no longer the same way once we're in Jesus. Say it to you in a different way. If any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. And then former things have passed away, and behold, all things have become new. You think you can go to 2018 with this haphazard, fair weather, maybe Jesus, maybe not Jesus, and think this is going to maintain you? You need to understand how bad you need him. You need to understand how bad you need him. See, David, the Bible says, was a man after God's own heart, but what he really had is, we say we had, he loved God, and he did love God, but what he really knew was how bad he needed him. He didn't love God in the way where he just loved him and he didn't do nothing. No, he had some issues. He had some flesh problems. He had some mind problems. I mean, he was all the way messed up. But he knew how bad he needed him. So he said, whatever you do, I'm willing to handle, but please don't take your presence. So he said, just as the heart panteth after the water brook, so does my heart pant after thee, oh God. Please, I need you.
I need you, Jesus.
He said, I need you so bad. Work on me, Jesus. Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit in me, oh God. I need you, Jesus. And he said, I messed up. I know I messed up, but I know how bad I need you. Bad decisions all the time, but I know how bad I need you. I go the wrong way all the time, but I know how bad I need you. The desire is based on the need. All right, in Revelation, it speaks to the Church of Laodicea, says, here's the problem. You don't think you need. Your desire is as if one that does not need me. He said, because you say I have need of nothing. Because you say I'm full and clothed and can see and have need of nothing. That's why you still messed up. He said, I wish you would. Just try me. Prove me and see. If you ask me, I would clothe you. I would feed you. Here's what makes us different. Of him that brought us out of darkness into his marvelous light. That when you really desire Jesus, when you really need him, I believe this, he changes your response.
Yes, he does.
He changes your response.
Yes, he does.
Peter said to him, now we are been anointed to walk in a whole different response.
Hallelujah.
He said that we're not called to show how bad the world is. Oh, this is going to blow your mind. But in spite of how bad the world is, you're supposed to show how good Jesus is. That a desire for Jesus, when it becomes intensified, Jesus said people get aggressive. He said the kingdom of heaven suffer violence, and the violent take it by force. And the violent take it by force. Do you, or have you ever had somebody grab something out of your hand and you realize what they grabbed belonged to you? And without even thinking about it, I mean, just the response, you snatch it back. Kind of what we're talking about here with this kingdom thing. When you realize that Jesus gave you your peace, and that peace belongs to you, and you let somebody grab it from you, then you say the name of Jesus is automatic. said.
Thank you, Jesus.
The violent, they just take it. When your desire is really high, you get aggressive. If they were to find you really hungry, I mean not just right now thinking about food, I mean really hungry. You get really hungry and there's a line. Oh geez, you start already negotiating how you gonna get around. You start already maneuvering how you can move to the front of the line. Because even though you know the food is there, you still need to fasten this because of your desire. Your desire intensifies your urgency. See, when you don't have any urgency, you'll start saying bye and bye and soon and very soon. But when you have an excel desire, if you will, you'll say, Jesus, I need you right now.
Right now.
He responds, he applies his grace in the same measure because he is a very present help in time of trouble. He does not give you by and by help. You said, yeah, he can do stuff by and by. I'm telling you, he don't give you by and by help. Okay? Because he dispenses. Because cups run over. Because he is El Shaddai. He just don't give by and by help. You might see it manifest by and by.
Oh, hallelujah.
But he just pours out his spirit. He just lets his grace flow.
Thank you.
That I'm trying to tell you that the way you're saying it is not the way he's giving it. He ain't mentioning it out drop by drop. A little drop here, a little drop here. The rain of his grace is just falling. And all you're trying to do is get to where the rain is falling. Now just because we say Jesus just a drop, it don't mean I want a drop. I want all I can get. Saturate me in your love.
Hallelujah.
Baptize me in your anointing. Wrap me up in your grace. I need you, Jesus.
I need you, Jesus.
The desire now means that it means you can't get enough of it. I think that's what happened with some people that say they love Jesus. They kind of plateaued. I think they got enough. When you got a desire, you can't get enough. The reason why, I mean, you can get full, but you can't get enough. Okay? Today, eat all you want to eat. I'm giving you complete open door. Eat everything you want to eat. Till you can't put another drop in your mouth. And you'll find out as the fullness begins to leave you and hunger begins to take its place, the desire to eat will then be increased in you all over again. And as soon as it gets high enough, food becomes your number one mission. Are you still following me on this? Now you can be full today. Now after a while, you'll sit around a while and you'll say, wait a minute, I think I'm starting to get hungry again. And when you get hungry enough, you'll get up out of your seat. Get in your car and go find whatever food is that you might be satisfied. It is the same way Jesus works in our life. That you cannot have a desire and then think that somehow that you can just be satisfied plateauing with whatever you got yesterday. You ate last week, be good with it. So here's what Paul said. He said, here's what I learned. I learned that my responses are now covered by the grace of my God. He said the Holy Ghost has instructed me everywhere in all things. I learned, listen to this, how to both be hungry and to be full. Oh, Jesus. He said, I know how to operate in either position. He said, while I'm full, I learned how to maintain my desire. When I'm hungry, I learned how to maintain my desire. Everywhere in all things, I'm instructed how to respond to it. That when, and I got to the core of it so you understand that the real core of it is, how much do you need Jesus? He loves you, and then now how much do you need him? That we have a misinterpretation of you, will, because we need him when we need him. But when you really need him. When you really need Jesus, here's what happens. It's a need that does not make normal sense. When you really got somebody you need, you don't just need them for stuff. Sometimes you just need to be around them. Sometimes you just need to be in their presence. Sometimes you just need to talk to them. Sometimes you just need to see them. Sometimes it's not the same kind of need, because when you got that other need that just take all the time, I need you to heal me. I need you to fix this, do that. And that need is really not the kind of need we talked about, because that need doesn't come from real relationship. That need can come from anybody who don't even know him. If you got some money, give me some money. It doesn't have to do anything with relationship. If you'll do it, I'll take it. But with relationship now, I know what you'll do. I know who you are. I know how it works. Therefore, I don't have to beg you. All I have to do is stay near you.
That's right.
That when it is that it gets good like this, you ever know somebody who you don't got to worry about it. If they got it, you got it.
Amen.
Very few.
If you know somebody like that, you know what that means? That means you could be with them without your wallet. And if they got their wallet, you already covered. That's what it means to be with Jesus. The Bible said, Jesus said, take my yoke and learn of me. I'm meek and lowly. That means that he already got the supply. You ain't even got to have nothing. All you got to do is get to where he is. And you already covered. Already satisfied. It's already paid for. You're supposed to be sick, but if you hook up with Jesus, healing's already paid for. Already covered. Already satisfied. Already done. That because it is a desire thing, you also got to know nobody can make you do anything, even as little as coming out the flesh. If somebody tell you you in the flesh, you know how mad that makes you? The reason why it's funny, because you know this is the absolute truth. If I wanted to say, look, sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so, pastor so-and-so, elder so-and-so, don't matter what your title is. If I wanted to say, I think you might be in your flesh. In my flesh. Oh, you want to make somebody mad? That's all you got to tell them? I think you might be in your flesh. In my flesh. Me in my flesh. As if that's a complete impossibility. But the problem is that when you're in the flesh, the Bible said you sow to yourself corruption.
Yes, sir.
So you can't get better in that state, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, sir.
Then when you're in the flesh and you mad, that's why nobody can talk you out of your madness. You can't get better in that state.
That's right.
I'll say it to you again. The reason why it is because the flesh sows back to itself corruption. So if they get mad at you, you just get more mad at them. The only way to defend yourself against the flesh is you got to come out of your flesh. And the only way to come out of your flesh is to understand how much you need Jesus. That's the only time you really got yourself, rebuked yourself, got a hold of yourself, when you realize how much you need Jesus. You cuss for 2 hours straight, then you say, I shouldn't be acting like this. Jesus, I need you. Rolled your eyes in your head 2 months long. Till finally you said, no, I'm bigger than this. Jesus, I need you. Then Paul writes and he says this to him when he talked about, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he's talking about love. I'll give go off my body to be burned, and have not charity, I'm nothing. Sounding brass, tingling cymbals, all that other stuff. He's talking to them about love. But then he tells them, he's telling them about what he's found out or what he's come to, the understanding he's come to. He said he ain't got all of it. Prophecy shall fail and all this shall. He said, but what I'll come to is this, and this is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse number 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I thought as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Now he talked to them in the confines of love, which we know means spirit, flesh. Why? Because if I'm loving, I can only love while I'm in Jesus. Amen. And outside of Jesus, there is no love. So now he said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, thought as a child, behaved as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. He's talking about a change in maturity. Obviously now he's not a child, but what happened when you become from a child to an adult? You have a change in desire. He said, my desires, the stuff I used to want, I don't even want anymore. Are you still with me, right? He said the stuff I used to worry about, I ain't even worried about anymore. He said, you worried about all that old stuff, who was talking about who? I ain't even worried about that anymore. I need Jesus too much in my life. He said, you worried about stuff that happened 10 years ago. I ain't even worried about that no more. He said, now my desires have changed. He said, since I became a man, since I now transitioned to this other, I know how much I need Jesus. My God is bigger than this. He said, before now I would be just like y'all, and they had a problem. The Church of Corinth had the problem, same problem that we all had. They had a flesh issue, and they were so spiritually in their minds advanced. And so anything that they did naturally, they just would cover by the Spirit. You don't understand me? I'll say it better. Jesus did this, Jesus said that, and so if they said it, of course they must have did it in the anointing. You know, like when you yell at people and say you was in the Spirit while you were doing it. The Holy Ghost told me you should have never took that money from me. Absolutely. The Holy Ghost, huh?
Wow.
I had a vision last night. Until you come and repent to me the right way, nothing you do is going to work. Oh, they had that kind of anointing. They would stand up and they would have, they would speak in tongues, and they would rejoice and do all these spiritual things and prophecy. Everybody was a prophet. Everybody in the church just about had a prophecy. I mean, you know, let me say it so we'll understand it. You know, when people are hearing from Jesus every second of every day, Jesus telling you to eat chicken wings and don't eat chicken wings. And so because they have that kind of relationship, Paul does not condemn them in their understanding. He's saying that it's going to take more than playing games. You got to get real with Jesus. He said, when I was a child, I used to be okay playing games, but now I didn't grow away from games. Games ain't going to work for me. I need the real Jesus. When I was a child, it was all right to play and act like I was okay with you. Now I need to learn how to love you. When I was a child, it was all right to go through this stuff and whisper here and whisper there. He said, but now my mind is made up. Jesus is too good to me. Peter said, if you have tasted that the Lord is gracious, if he's been good to you, if he's done any good thing for you, he said, if you know how good he is, that's why I know you got to first have the experience to then have the desire. He said, if he's done any good thing for you, if you tasted that the Lord is gracious, you ought to make sure that he's your desire. If Jesus has been good to you, if he has been good to you, that David said of God, he said his loving kindness is far better than my life. Oh, Jesus. That is a good picture of how much. He said, I know his loving kindness is far better than my life. That he has to become my chief desire. He said, you can take everything else as long as I still keep your presence. As long as you're still with me. He said the thing that you forget to say. He said, Jesus, even if I ain't got this stuff, as long as I got you, I'm already satisfied. He said that if me messing up means that you got to take some stuff, take some stuff. If me messing up mean that the kingdom got to be withdrawn from me, then you can have the kingdom back as long as you don't take it. I need you too much. I don't know how I would make it without you. He called him the Son, the S-U-N. Everything I got moves because of you. And without you, nothing happens. I'm hopeless and helpless without you. Jesus, I need you. And now I'm in a situation right now, I can tell you, I need more Jesus. I need more Jesus. That it is not that you are the wisest, that you are even, listen to this, the most anointed. I know you think it's heavy, but don't worry about that. Do you know how you made it this far? Do you know how you made this far? Because you are acquainted with your need. You made it this far because you real needy. Jesus, I need you. You couldn't even put it all together, but you didn't have enough trouble to keep you praying all the time. Jesus, I need you. It always makes sense to you, but you in the doctor for one thing or another all the time. Jesus, I need you. And you found out just how much you need him. If you didn't need him, or if you didn't know you needed him, I wonder what you would do. I wonder how you would act. If you wasn't sick, I wonder how much you would pray. Them your same dancing legs. Not always for dancing in church. So I wonder if you got your dancing legs back, what would you do with them? If you were strong enough to do anything you want to do, what would you do? What would your desire be? If you can get up and do anything right now you want to do, where would you go? What would you do? When Jesus becomes that thing, that means you got to first deny yourself. Because I'm not telling you there's some stuff you wouldn't want to do even right now. First thing I'm doing, Bishop, I'm hopping a plane. I'm going to the heat. Take about a month or something. Just give me, I deserve it. That's the thing that you think. But in order to do Jesus to become the thing that you do, the Bible said, look, you got to first get the things that you think out the way. Paul said, I got to bring my body under subjection. The Bible said that we got to bring down those hot thoughts and imagination and bring them into obedience. I'm trying to take you, show you that we got some real stuff that we can do, but we keep acting like there's nothing we can do. Oh, it just happened. It does happen automatically. Your flesh is a servant of sin. It's going to mess up, act silly, do the wrong thing automatically. But Jesus died for you, that you might have a way to escape. And as long as there are people pretending and playing, I mean, you can play. But when you really need this Jesus. You know, kids, they do the thing, they'll do that play food, set it all up.
Yeah.
Little play plates and play dinner and all that. But when you're hungry, you don't want no play stuff. We have to then make up our mind now what has been our imagination and what is our reality. All this other stuff that you put together is just made up. You got to get away from that stuff and get some real stuff. If there's ever been any good thing done for you, Jesus did it. If you had any help in your life, Jesus did it. If any doors were open, Jesus did it. Remember how he settled your mind? Remember how he restored your joy? Remember how he kept you in his peace? That was all Jesus. So I'm deciding right now, I don't need no play stuff. Matter of fact, I don't even got any more days to play them kind of games.
All right.
I need some real stuff. Let's take it a little step further. Let's just say somebody invites you over their house for dinner. When you get there, all they got set up is some play food. I mean, all that's set up is they got little plastic area, little play everything. None of it's real. They say, oh, here's some water. How long you gonna stay there? I wonder if you would sit down there and then imaginary food, pretend like you're imaginary eating, and then leave like you're imaginary food. I know it sounds crazy, but is this making any sense to you? They invite you over, but they ain't got no real food. They don't have anything they can share with you. Everything is imaginary. Oh, look at that imaginary turkey. Here, you get some, you want some more, you get as much as you want. And you leave out of there and say, oh, that was so good. That makes sense. That's ridiculous, right? You go in there and say, no, this ain't no real food. You can't even smell nothing. Listen, you would go in there and it would last 2 seconds. And you know what you would say? You're out of your mind. You can't live off this. You need some real stuff. That's what your desire for Jesus has to be. I can't go nowhere and get no fake food. I need the real stuff. He said, because I got to get exercise. I got to grow. I got to get better than this. I got to get bigger than this. It's naturally the reason why babies eat so much or drink so much milk is because growing is a property of survival. Just like it is in the wild. They're after the little ones. The little ones got to be covered, so they got to get bigger quick in order to defend themselves. Does that make sense to you? So they got to grow as fast as they can. And so everything is measured from the time of infancy to adulthood, because that's how you survive. But by the time you are a man, you got to put away those childish things. That your survival rate is going to be based on how big you can get and how fast you can get there. Our adversary, the devil, walked about the roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Lions never go after the biggest and the strongest. They go after the little and the small and the frail and the weak.
Amen.
And they seek them. So if you ain't getting food, you get frail and weak real quick. And the devil comes after you to try to devour you. And the only thing that has been protecting you is that Jesus will not allow it to happen.
That's right.
But the question is not about how much Jesus loves you. I'm convinced he loves you. I'm sure he loves you. My mind is made up he loves you. All this other stuff isn't about Jesus playing games. He ain't played no games with you. He loves you. This is about how much you love Jesus. This is about your love toward him. That he kept you all this time in spite of what you have responded to him with. Did you expect equal response? If somebody, even right now, you gave somebody something, and it comes time for your turn, you're looking for something, even though they didn't say they were getting you anything, because you deemed that to be accurate response. That's the right thing to do. Absolutely. You say, no, listen, today the 14th, is there anything you want to tell me? Give me. You remember last time I gave you something and I was thinking this time you would give me something. You would have expectancy, right? What Jesus has given us is his grace. He's given us this grace. And now when it's time for us to return a gift toward him, he should have expectancy. But what happens when you don't give nothing? What happens when you don't give him anything? He says that he receives the things that you give to each other. I won't be too much long-winded with this, but he says the things that you receive, that he receives, are the things that we give one to another. That you ain't throwing stuff in the air and giving it to Jesus. None of that is real. The things that he receives, he said, you were naked, I was naked and you clothed me. I was hungry and you fed me. I was sick and you came to see me. And they said, Jesus, when have we done these things? And he said, so much as you've done it to the least of these, you've done it also to me. Amen. Jesus said, the way you show him or give to him is you have to then submit it one to another. That's right. That's the only way. That's the only way. You're not loving Jesus in your imagination, in your room, in your closet, with your door locked. That's not how that works. You in there eating imaginary food, having an imaginary feast, and then coming out every day and trying to act like you full. Right. That when sometimes, and this is what happens, here's about where we're at, when your reality is not what you imagine, after a while it starts showing up. That there you are now in front of real food and your stomach is growling, but you saying, no, I'm not hungry, I already ate. After a while, the reality of what you've been living in starts showing up. Okay, I'll say it like the Bible said it. God is not mocked. Whatever men sow, that shall he also reap. That means that whatever your reality is, eventually it starts showing up in your living. Whatever it is you've been eating starts showing up in your living. So what happens is you don't think you need Jesus until you find yourself in some stuff that you've been imagining. Now you're living in, and now you realize you need him. What if you understood you need him right now? The real Jesus, more Jesus, all Jesus. What if you change what you were sowing? It would change how you were living. It would change what you were eating. The Bible said many there shall be that shall fall by the wayside. Many there shall be that shall fall by the wayside. Jesus said that there'll be many that will say, Lord, Lord, in thy name we heal the sick, in thy name in your name we cast out devils, in your name. And Jesus would say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Never knew you. Jesus.
This thing will get serious because that means that you could think one thing, imagine if you will, and be really living something else. That you could be thinking all this Jesus and not have no real Jesus experience in your life. That don't scare you at all?
Oh, yeah.
The people falling by the wayside are people that thought they was running. And then they just fell out.
Yes, help Jesus.
They didn't plan on it. That's how you fall by the wayside. You can't fall by the wayside if you wasn't at one time running.
All right. Amen.
That doesn't bother you just a little bit.
Yes.
Jesus.
How do you make sure you don't get there? There's only so long you can go without food. Even the imaginary feast. After a while, you'll start living in the results of that. After a while, you won't even be able to imagine fake joy. You can't even imagine where your love would come from.
That's right.
And the church that loves Jesus should be getting better.
That's right.
But if you ain't getting the real stuff, all you do is get more bitter.
Amen.
Amen.
You mad at everybody and everything.
Amen.
Nothing is right. Nothing can be right. You can see the wrong in anyone at any time. It doesn't take grace to see that. It takes no spiritual anointing to be able to see that people have sinned. We all sin.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I know that everybody in the church messed up, including you. We all sin. The thing that brings us together is our unified need. We all need Jesus. And I'm here because I don't just need him yesterday, I need him today. And because I need him so bad, listen, I can't let you mess this up for me. I'm putting away all evil speaking and all malice and all hypocrisy because I need him so much. The real Jesus. And I'm denying myself. Yes, I could talk about you, but I ain't got time for that. I need Jesus too much. Jesus said that you can take up your cross and you can come after him. That's what I'm going after. That's my desire. That's my desire. Don't have to be a room full of people. Don't got to be any witnesses. I'm going after Jesus. That's my desire. And if that is my desire, what I'm working on daily is denying myself.
That's right.
That sometimes the King James Version, because of the way it's interpreted, it uses words a bit more fancy than what they need to be, a bit more eloquent probably than what we need to hear. And what it really means when it says denying yourself is just telling yourself no.
That's right. Amen.
Doesn't mean you having some kind of battle. It's simply telling yourself no. That when even a child, before they can speak, they already know the word no.
No.
And the reason why they learn the word no is because somebody who understands how flesh works then tells the child no, and no then begins to be the thing that then stops the flesh. No, you can't touch that. No, you can't do that. No might be their first word. Because even they don't understand it, no does something. The Bible said that you just can humble yourself before God, then rebuke the devil and he'll flee from you. You have to be in a position in Jesus to then be able to say no. You think that somehow you're going to stop liking what you like or stop wanting to do what you want to do? This says right here, you got to be able to put those things aside. Oh, geez, I'm waiting on you to work me out of this thing. You ain't going to never be worked out of it. You're going to always like macaroni. But you found out macaroni ain't good for you.
All right, all right.
So what do? You'll tell them right now, I like macaroni, but I don't eat it.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus. Because I got to get better than what I used to be.
Right.
That's how it is when it comes to the grace of Jesus. I like some old stuff, but former things I passed away. I got to get better than what I used to be. I need Jesus working on me. Yeah, I like it, but Jesus has been too good to me. He brought me from a mighty long way.
Mighty long way.
The Bible says, when Isaiah prophesies about the coming of Jesus, describes him in Isaiah the 53rd chapter, he says that Jesus would be uncomely, not of any beauty, that we should desire him, that he would not be naturally desirable. Do you notice that even as people talk about in the Bible, that is, Jesus, they never really give that much description of him in the Bible, and it is written by Isaiah that the reason why they didn't, because he wasn't much to look at. You wouldn't notice him. He's not anybody who you would be able to recognize it. After he left the room, you wouldn't be able to give a description of him. That the only way you knew Jesus, you won't have to know him by something else. Still is right there, Isaiah 53, he said we would not, he said, but he was despised and rejected, a man of many sorrows, yet we beheld him, stricken and smitten of God. Same Jesus. Said he had our stuff, but we didn't know how much we needed him. Then he goes on to say, but he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. We didn't know how much we needed him, because it didn't look that good to us. But once we realized what he paid for, once we realized how much we needed him, now we declare, Jesus, I can't make it without you. The Bible said that he was made in a position that you can't fake want him. You have to know something about him.
Amen.
Even to follow Jesus, Jesus said you have to take his yoke and learn of him. That he's meek and lowly, and you'll find rest for your soul. You can't really appreciate him until you tried him. You don't understand the value. You don't know how good he really is. So Peter ain't talking to everybody. We're just talking to the people who tasted that Jesus is gracious. He didn't have to do it, but he did. He has brought you from a mighty, mighty, mighty long way. Look at what he kept you through. Look at how he blessed you. Look at how good he's been in your life. Do you know that up until this point, you ain't had a doctor appointment yet you ain't walked out of it? Ain't Jesus good to you?
Yes, he is.
You all the bad news, they want grace and mercy. Oh my Jesus, they have covered you. Jesus has been not just good, so very, 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 very good. That he's been intensely, outstandingly, and wonderfully good to you. And that ought to be reflected in our living. But if you find that this genuine behavior is kind of contagious. It's kind of contagious, and that's why David said 1,000 shall fall one way and 10,000 the other way, but it is not going to happen to me. He said, I don't know what is in the water right now. I don't know why so many people are falling for this trick. He said, but my mind is made up. It is not going to happen to me. I love Jesus too much. I need him too much. He is saying to you and I, so we understand, he's saying, I ain't saying I'm not subject to the same thing. I could, but I ain't going to let him. He's saying that I see that people are tripping and falling by the wayside. But one day you'll see just how good Jesus is. What it means is that the whole world right now, they only can see a little bit. But because you understand, this is only a little bit of it. Yes, Jesus is your healer, but that's only a little bit of what he can do. Yes, he's your way maker, that's only a little bit of the picture. And when you praise him, you ain't praising him because you can see a little bit. You praise him because you know he's Lord over the whole thing. Because all of it's in his hands. Because it's already covered by his blood. It's already kept in his covering. Because he's already paid to get back, that's okay. Everyone will not walk Jesus for real, that's all right too. But David said, I made my mind up. I made my mind up. He will not come now. I'm going after Jesus. And not only that, he said, just like the song says, if you can't help me, please don't block me. I'm going after Jesus. I'm going to love you through it. I'm going to love you around it. I'm going to love you till it passes over. But Jesus will be glorified. Let us go ahead and be anointed here today.